Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, and welcome to episode 86. Interesting case this. My name's Richard, by the way, nurse from England in the northwest. Clinic's called No More Earwax. Interesting case this. Stay tuned. And the reason for the title of this is I have a suspicion as to what this might be. It might not be right. But I have a suspicion as to what's going on in this gentleman's ear. This gentleman came to see me, he was a hearing aid user. And he'd had his ears cleaned out a few times in the past, been no issues. But I found something in the second ear that I didn't quite like the look of. And I think you may recognise, if some of you watch these other types of videos, you might recognise it yourself and see if you agree or not. Again, like I said in many other videos, not my job to diagnose things. It's my job to find things, and if there's a suspicion, then I can ask the specialist to take a look. Now, this first one came out relatively straightforward. Good old plug, this one. Surprised he could hear anything at all, to be honest, because it was a fair old chunk encased in a layer of dead skin as well. This is the second one. This was the left one. Bit more of a battle to get out this one initially. It was just a bit stuck, but what we've done, like we did with the first one, just managed to try to grab it from the bottom, and I'm just trying to loosen it and separate it away from the canal walls. But you can see the consistency of this, it is quite hard and a little bit drier. First one came away without too many arguments, but already it's rocking and rolling around there, but it's just a bit stuck. Excuse me, frog in my throat. So yeah, we've managed to get a bit of a wiggle on there. I hope you've all had a nice weekend, by the way. It's Monday today. If this won't make any sense if you're watching this like 20 years after I've made it, which I hope people still are. It probably won't be Monday, but it's Monday morning here. Had a glorious weekend. Had a lovely spell of weather in the UK here, which is very rare, so we've got to make most of it. Get out in the garden, play with the kids, which is what we did yesterday. So as we're wiggling this along, I think the tube's just about to get blocked in a minute now, so I have to come out, rinse it out, and come back again. Excuse me. Something really has just tickled me. Like I say, one take wonder though, I'm not doing anything in two takes. What happens, happens. So it's really, really stuck at the moment, this one. But it's just about to come up now. Okay, I managed to get a good grip on the bottom of it there. Lift it up, and out it comes without too many problems. Yeah, right, so you can see all the dead skin at the bottom of that. Now, here's where I had a few suspicions, because you can see straight to the eardrum there, but as you can see at the base of the ear canal, I had a few of these recently. It just doesn't look quite right. So what I'm going to do is try and, I'm normally one of those who's like, oh, not important to get every last speck, but in some instances it really is important. And I'm glad I did in this instance, when you have a bit of a gut feeling that something's not quite right. So as you can see, I'm going to lift up this dead skin here, and can you see underneath it? It's a bit wet, isn't it? A bit moist. Now that could well be a bit of discharge from what we found further forward. So I'm just going to go pretty much not far from the eardrum there and peel that one away. It's going deeper and deeper, and just before I get to the eardrum, I'm just going to try and pull it to the side and just tear it a little bit. So there you go, I'm trying to pull it in. You'll see it slowly tear away from the side. You might see it just break in a second there. There it goes. See it just tearing away there, and out that pops, and up the tube she goes. But what's left here at the base of the ear canal, see that bit of skin that's really soggy and wet, and again that does trigger some thoughts in your mind, thinking, well, what's going on there? Why is that little bit there? So this is the fine end tube I've changed to now, which is a smaller of the tube. It's absolutely tiny. So I'm going to try and hoover up that. Now you can already see just underneath that, it's a lot more white as well than the rest of the ear canal. Now that may well be some exposed bone already there. Now it was nice and clean, and so there was no point going to that one just to tap it to try and find out what's going on, and if it is bone or not. I suspect it possibly is, but it was what was collecting inside this little hole above it. So there is a bit of skin that goes kind of in between these two little crevices, craters, whatever you want to call them, kind of bridging across, and it is quite squishy around the edges of it, which is a bit of a sign that there's been some weeping, possibly some infection. And you can just see there's a bit of yellowish discharge just to the side of these as well. But as I'm going in there to try and hoover out what's inside that's when you get the feeling in the end of the tube that you're literally tapping on something. I've heard it described by someone else as like scraping a spoon over a brick, and I think that's very appropriate. That is the feeling that you get, so that's when you know that you're touching bone there. The patient doesn't feel any of this, had no discomfort at all, had no idea that this thing was there. Now, I don't think it's gone too deep, it's not eroded the bone too much. So yeah, how this has happened. Now, what is an ear canal cholesteatoma? The skin migrates in the ear, migrates sideways, it travels out naturally. And sometimes if that migration process is interrupted for whatever reason, there might be a natural trench or a bit of a dip, you can get a collection of this dead skin. And this collection of dead skin, if it's there too long, it can cause infections, which has possibly happened here. And the dead skin can start to erode the skin and eventually erode the bone, which can lead to some more serious problems. Don't think this goes down too deep. There's a still image of it there. So hopefully we might have caught this in the nick of time before it starts causing too many problems. But obviously with anything like this, we've referred it on to the specialists and sent some videos and images. And I'm sure I've already recommended come to see me every few months, just to keep an eye on this thing, just to make sure nothing's changing. But the specialist might want to do something else and check it out a bit further, just to see if there's any more damage a bit further down that you couldn't see with the naked eye. But I hope you enjoyed that, that you found that interesting and informative. But for now, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.